Chris Smalls bio je među putnicima na brodu Handala, humanitarnom plovilu koje je izraelska vojska presrela dok je pokušavao dostaviti pomoć Gazi. Prema navodima koalicije za flotilu, Smalls je tokom racije fizički napadnut, gušen i udaran od strane izraelske vojske, a zatim pritvoren pod strogim nadzorom. Njegovo iskustvo otvara ozbiljna pitanja ne samo o nastavku izraelske blokade Gaze, već i o tretmanu aktivista, ulozi međunarodne solidarnosti i o tome šta znači boriti se za pravdu preko granica. Ja sam Ika Ferrer-Gotić, ovo je Puls planete.
À cette heure, Israël étend encore ses opérations militaires à Gaza dans l'objectif déclaré de détruire le Hamas. Mais ce sont les vies de centaines de milliers de personnes déplacées, blessées, affamées, traumatisées, qui continuent d'être détruites. Alors même que le Hamas a été considérablement affaibli et que la négociation d'un cessez-le-feu durable reste le moyen le plus sûr d'obtenir la libération des otages. Rien ne justifie plus la poursuite de la guerre à Gaza. Rien. Tout commande au contraire d'y mettre un terme définitif maintenant, à défaut de l'avoir fait plus tôt, pour sauver des vies. C'est pour cela que nous devons aujourd'hui, ici même, ouvrir ce chemin de paix. Car depuis juillet dernier, l'accélération des événements est terrible. Et au point où nous en sommes, il est à craindre que les accords d'Abraham ou de Camp David soient remis en cause par l'action d'Israël et que la paix devienne impossible pour longtemps au Moyen-Orient. Il pèse donc sur nous une responsabilité historique. Nous devons tout faire pour préserver la possibilité même d'une solution à deux États. Israël et la Palestine, vivant côte à côte, en paix et en sécurité.
For Israel, every civilian casualty is a tragedy. For Hamas, it's a strategy. Hamas uses civilians as human shields and as props in its sick propaganda war in Israel, against Israel, a propaganda war that the Western media buys hook, line, and sinker. Now, despite Hamas's threats, close to 700,000 Gazans, almost 750,000, have already heeded our calls and moved to safe zones. Now I want to ask you a simple question, a simple, logical question. Would a country committing genocide plead with the civilian population it is supposedly targeting to get out of harm's way? Would we tell them, get out, if we want to commit genocide? We're trying to get them out. And Hamas is trying to keep them in.
I think we have maybe a deal on Gaza, very close to a deal on Gaza. How are you? Hello, Peter. And it's looking like we have a deal on Gaza. And we'll let you know.
Mr. President.
I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal it's going to be peace. I think we have a deal. That'll be number 8, Peter. Not bad.
أتحدث إليكم اليوم بعد مرور قرابة عامين يواجه فيها شعبنا الفلسطيني في قطاع غزة حرب إبادة جماعية وتدمير وتجويع وتهجير تشنها قوات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي قتلت وجرحت خلالها أكثر من 220 ألف فلسطيني غالبيتهم من الأطفال والنساء والشيوخ العزال وشردت مئات الآلاف ومنعت وصول المواد الغذائية والطبية وتسببت في تجويع مليوني فلسطيني. ورغم كل ما عاناه شعبنا فإننا نرفض ما قامت به حركة حماس في 7 أكتوبر من أعمال استهدفت المدنيين الإسرائيليين وأخذهم رهائن لأن هذه الأفعال لا تمثل الشعب الفلسطيني ولا نضاله العادل من أجل الحرية والاستقلال. وقد أكدنا وسنظل نؤكد أن قطاع غزة جزء لا يتجزأ من دولة فلسطين، وأننا مستعدون لتحمل كامل المسؤولية عن الحكم والأمن فيه، ولن يكون لحماس دور في الحكم، حيث يتوجب عليها وغيرها أيضا من الفصائل تسليم سلاحها للسلطة الوطنية الفلسطينية في إطار عملية التوجه لبناء مؤسسات الدولة الواحدة.
Birleşmiş Milletler Güvenlik Konseyi üyelerinin de dahil olduğu bir grup ülkenin Filistin devletini tanıma kararı alması son derece önemli tarihi bir karardır. Asya'da, Amerika'da ve Afrika'da Filistin devletini tanıma cesaretini gösteren ülkelerin kararlı, somut ve caydırıcı adımlarla bu tarihi duruşun arkasını doldurmalarını temenni ediyorum. Artık ateşkesin ilanı, Gazze'ye insani yardımların engelsiz şekilde girişinin sağlanması ve İsrail'in Gazze'den güçlerini çekmesi gerekiyor.
Chris Smalls was among the passengers aboard the Handala, the aid ship intercepted by the Israeli military as it attempted to deliver humanitarian supplies to Gaza, mainly children. According to the Freedom Flotile coalition, Smalls was physically assaulted during the raid, choked and kicked by the Israeli soldiers and then detained under heavy guard. His experience raises pressing questions not only about Israel's ongoing blockade of Gaza, but also about the treatment of activists, the role of international solidarity, and what it means to stand up for justice across borders. Chris Smalls is joining me tonight. Chris, welcome to the program and thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too, Chris. Thank you. Can you walk us through the moment when Israeli forces boarded the Handala?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thousands of people were tuned in watching on the live stream on YouTube. We had a live stream from one of the cameras. We also had our individual live streams rolling at the time when they boarded the flotilla. And what they do is they pull the camera down, they cut the Wi-Fi off, cut communications from the rest of the world. At that time, we had to pretty much shelter in place with our hands up. We pretty much locked arms as a way of resistance. We wanted to be together. And I know that we were captured at 11 p.m. We were only a few hours away from Gaza, less than 60 miles. We would have made it to Gaza by 3 a.m. that morning. But unfortunately, we were kidnapped and we were taken to the port of Rashad, which was in Israel, but also 12 hours away from where we were taken from. So just to tell you, give you context how far away we were going against our will. And unfortunately, at that point, that's when we were handed over to the immigration authorities.
The Freedom Flotile coalition reported, and later you have also spoken about it, that you were choked, kicked by several IDF soldiers, physically assaulted. Can you describe what really happened during that assault? How you experienced it in the moment, and what a physical or emotional impact it left on you afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the actual IOF soldiers who assaulted me. They handed me to the immigration authorities. And for those who don't know, when the IOF boards these flotillas or these ships, they come with a camera crew. They want to get propaganda. It's really ironic compared to the Madeleine. Virtually, there's no footage from Israel like they had of Greta with the sandwiches and water. The same thing with us. They tried to do that, but we were on a hunger strike, so they couldn't get that moment. When they handed us over to the immigration authorities, they had a camera crew to get propaganda. We started chanting out Free Palestine. And that's the moment where I was assaulted by the immigration authorities at the port. I covered my face. I was one of the last to get off the boat. I was an American as well. Yes, I am one of the people of color, black man on board, the only black man on board. And I was assaulted, thrown to the ground. They did put their knee in my back. They twisted both arms behind my back. They levitated me and used my chains around my neck to choke me. They dropped me to the ground a few times, and then they brought me into a separate room, kept me separate from the rest of the crew. They threw me up against the wall a few times. And while they were doing this, some of them were speaking in English, and they were saying some racist remarks, saying that they're nothing like me. They're not my brother, furthest thing from my brother. And I knew it was very racially motivated to say these things. And the entire time it kept me guarded with 5 guards, no matter where I walked around the entire port for the deportation or either to be transferred to the prison. And I knew that once again, from the beginning of my experience to the very end, being dropped off at the border of Jordan, my whole entire experience was very divisive, and unfortunately, I experienced a great deal of racism as well.
Unbelievable. You were placed obviously under heavier guard, treated more harshly than others on board, obviously, because of racism. You believe you were singled out in that way, and you think race and your public profile as well as a labor organizer played a role in how you were treated. Israel's foreign ministry said that you resisted arrest and accused you of staging a planned provocation. How do you respond to that?
Simple. Release the footage. You know, once again, it's ironic that there's no footage from them compared to the Madeleine, where they didn't hesitate to put out their own propaganda. They have virtually done that, didn't do that with the Handala. And that's because they're lying. They once again are putting out misinformation. I had no energy to be aggressive. We were on a hunger strike already. And once again, there was 7 authorities that threw me to the ground. You know, there's no way nobody's going to fight back against that amount of force and aggression. So it's just utterly ridiculous that they think that I was trying to, I guess you could say, provoke this type of assault on myself. That didn't happen. Absolutely not. And once again, there's no coincidence why I was one of the last to be released. Me and my Arab brother Hatem from Tunis, we stayed in there the longest, 1 day longer than everybody else. And out of the 14 prisoners, we were the only 2 people of color and dropped off at the border of Jordan. They didn't do this with any of the other 12 white volunteers that were captured as well. And there's no coincidence that everything that happened to me from the very beginning, once again, to the end, it has something to do with the color of my
so,
skin.
Chris, you were basically just dropped off, dumped at the border to try to find your way back home. What happened afterwards? How did you find your way? How did you get through the border? Where did you go? What did you think at that moment that was happening to you?
Well, just imagine this. Once again, everybody else that was in prison with us were released either days or a day before in groups. They all left in at least 4 at a time, with the exception of the last few of us. And just to put this in context, they didn't tell us anything. You know, when me and Hatem was released that Friday, we had no idea where we were going. We thought that we were going to be taken to Tel Aviv airport like everybody else. Next thing you know, we're in the back of a van for over an hour and a half, taken to the border of Jordan. And we were told we had to catch a taxi when they dropped us off to the airport. Now, fortunately for Hatem, his embassy met him there, and they took him back to his country safely. With me, the U.S. Embassy did not show up. Nobody from the U.S. consulate was there waiting for me. I had to, fortunately, use somebody's cell phone. There was a lot of Palestinians who were trying to cross the border as well. Some of them recognized me in the crowd from being on the Handala, and they allowed me to use one of their cell phone devices to contact somebody from the Freedom Flotile Coalition to let them know where I was at.
And Chris, Handala was carrying baby formula, medicine for children, food for the starved. And today, as we learn from the UN agency, famine is official in Gaza City. Handala human rights activists and you yourself were accused of just staging the entire narrative, quote unquote, to diminish Israel's role or reputation in the world. You've also been very vocal about Western media's role in shaping narratives about Palestine. Can you elaborate on specific examples of journalistic failures that you've seen, that you've observed, and now you believe they contribute to exactly this, the public misunderstanding of Israeli government and IDF activities in Gaza and occupied West Bank?
Well, it's right in front of us. You know, if Israel really were doing the right thing and weren't committing war crimes, journalists wouldn't be getting killed, like we just witnessed a few weeks ago with Anas. If Israel was really delivering humanitarian aid to people of Gaza, there would be no need for the Handala mission or the Madeleine or the Freedom Flotile Coalition altogether. This didn't just happen October 7th. This has been going on for over 2 decades. The Flotilla Coalition, this initiative started over 17 years ago. The Handala mission was mission number 37. There was starvation in Gaza before October 7th. 85% of the population was already facing that. As you mentioned, we're at a level 5 famine now. And everything that I've experienced from being on the Handala mission, the military occupation, the way they were using the drones to block our visibility, the way they captured us in international waters with no jurisdiction. There's a reason why they do not want the public to really see what's actually going on in Gaza. I believe from the testimonies of the nurses and doctors that worked in Gaza, they have all said the same thing. The ones that I met in person, the ones that were at the ports of Italy with us, sending us off, they've said the same thing, that the amount of horror and death over there would shock the world if those images ever came to light of what's really happening in Gaza. And I believe them. The media, as you mentioned, has been very complicit in watered down versions of what is actually going on in Gaza from the numbers themselves. The numbers they even put out there are way lowballed compared to what is actually happening over there. I believe it's way over 500,000 people. I believe that the destruction and the death that's in Gaza City is unbearable to think about. And that's more of the reason why I chose to join the Handala mission as an American taxpaying citizen, to spread that type of awareness. If they really were doing the right things by the people of Gaza and Palestine, they will allow the humanitarian aid to be delivered by civilians, because they have, once again, no jurisdiction, no right to block humanitarian aid. And this was deemed by the International Court of Justice.
Exactly. Of course, Israel does not have the right to intercept any humanitarian aid, especially not in international waters where you guys were intercepted. When you talk about, I'm an American, I boarded the Handala in order to deliver the food. It's a humanitarian action. It's a humane thing to do in today's world. And Gaza's genocide is the biggest question of our generation and generations to come as well, Chris. But you say I'm an American, and then you see your government assisting, not even being complicit anymore, but assisting those in starving children. How does that make you feel?
once again, it gave me the reason and the motivation to join this mission. Not only should I be outraged, but every American citizen should be outraged at where our taxpaying dollars have been going for the last 2 years. It didn't just start with this administration. This is a bipartisan genocide. This started with the Biden administration, and it started even before that. So to know that our money and taxpaying dollars are going to killing the innocent people of Palestine, especially women and children and innocent men, we had to be outraged. And you know, I know that the U.S. Embassy didn't show up for me, but not just me, but 7 Americans, 1/3 of the Handala crew who were American, they didn't show up for any of us. So once again, it's an atrocity that this administration claims to be putting America's first, putting its citizens first. The administration that puts an end to all of these wars, Trump likes to claim. And that's just a false narrative. They invited the war criminal Bibi Netanyahu to the White House weeks before we set sail. And they continue to have ties and do business with Israel. And for the last 22 months, facilitate, along with labor unions, another reason why I joined this mission, along with the assistance of labor unions and workers, every 15 hours for the last 22 months, weapons, arms are delivered from the U.S. We all should be outraged, and this is the type of awareness I want to spread. And not only that, I want to take action against people and entities to hold them accountable.
Chris, you said you were going to sue Israel for seized goods, your own personal belongings. How does that stand today?
Well, I wanted to not only sue on behalf of the things they stole, but also because they did assault me physically. There is evidence of that, and I know it exists. Like I said, there was a camera crew there at the docks waiting for us.
So they were filming. They were filming you while you were assaulted.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure they were. They were right there the entire time. There is cameras in that port, just like any other security checkpoint. They have to have cameras there. And if I can somehow, some way, get traction in a lawsuit to subpoena any of that footage, I hope I can one day. And I'm going to try to do everything I can. Once again, the challenge is because we were selling under a British flag, I may have to go through the UK court system. And I hope to do that. I'm trying to reach out to some of my comrades over there to follow up on legal assistance on how we can push this lawsuit forward under the British UK government.
Yes, understand it. You described IDF actions in Gaza as genocidal. So did Francesca Albanese, Taig Hickey, and so many public personas, and UN staffers as well. What patterns do you see from your perspective when you were there, and from your perspective from what you see as being showcased in real time to us? How do you respond to arguments on the Israeli advocates that these actions are justified for what they call now Israel's security?
Well, let me tell you this. If they were looking for terrorists, so to speak, their motivation or justification for killing 500,000 people, then they've done a horrible job of that. That's just that simple. If it costs 500,000 lives to try to dismantle terrorism, they failed. They failed miserably. And once again, the world should be outraged that we allow this little apartheid state, and they are an apartheid state. I witnessed it, I experienced it through and through, even with the court system that they had. They are an apartheid state. This apartheid state has affected the entire planet in a positive way, even though we see all the death being live streamed every day on our social media and etc. The fight for Palestinian liberation and the fight to put an end to this war and genocide has brought the entire world together. The younger generation has spoken with the encampments from the students. The organizations that you are seeing rallying in major cities and major countries around the world has been nonstop. And we're not going to continue, even with the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, we're going to continue sending flotilla after flotilla. The next one, the global flotilla for Samud, with 44 different countries going to break this illegal siege. We can tell you that as we stand, we're not going to give up, especially when our governments fail us. Unfortunately, when the governments fail us, the people must and have to stand up, and that's exactly what we're witnessing now.
Right, I want to talk about that. Much of your activism, Chris, has centered on labor rights and challenging big corporations and corporate giants like Amazon. And you've often spoken about standing up to concentrated power. Now, do you see parallels between confronting corporate power in the United States and confronting state of power in Israel? How those experiences that you've had connect for you?
Well, Amazon actually has everything to do with this genocide. Their intelligence, the Amazon Web Services, is essentially the Israel Iron Dome. Their investment with the $7.2 billion called Project Nimbus, along with Google, Meta, this is the intelligence that is being used to target and surveil and help target and kill innocent Palestinians every day. The same thing here in the U.S. Amazon has tons of contracts with the Pentagon and the military industrial complex. That is the connection there, is that corporations are not only the money and machine, but also the intelligence behind these genocides, not just in Palestine, but around the world. The connection, again, me being a labor leader who organized against Amazon, people ask, how did you defeat a $2.2 trillion company that was once deemed unorganizable? It's simple. I had to bring people together from all different backgrounds and creed. The same thing Palestine is doing with bringing people together from all different backgrounds and creeds from all over the world. It's going to take people coming together on this issue if we want to have a planet for our future and our children. It's that simple. I'm a father, along with being a labor activist, along with being an American taxpaying citizen. All of these things are reasons why we all should be outraged. And I want to make sure that there's a planet and a future for my children to grow up in. And I'm, once again, embarrassed about the dark times that we're living in right now.
That's very well put, Chris. You've taken, obviously, significant risks to stand with Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank. What do you want people in the United States and elsewhere, but especially in your own country, especially those who may not know much about the blockade, to understand about humanitarian crisis, genocide, and why you chose to put yourself on the line?
Once again, when I took on Amazon, it was a life or death situation. We're talking about COVID-19 5 years ago. I was fired for whistleblowing about the unprotection that we weren't receiving as essential workers. And that catapulted me into the media spotlight. And when I got this platform, I tried to incorporate all struggles, whether it's civil rights, whether it's social injustice, whether it's climate movement, you name it, women's rights. I tried to speak up on all of these things as a labor activist. What I want the American people to know is that these labor unions in America have a lot of power. They are tied to politics hand in hand. And unfortunately, they have failed the American working class by allowing politics to run their organization. Leading the way, example number one is shipping arms and manufacturing weapons. Unlike what you've seen in countries like Greece and Italy, where dock workers are refusing to ship arms to Israel. We can take these type of stances if we hold these type of entities accountable. So that is the focus. And I think that should be the focus, is we know who the players are in America. We know that the Trump administration is going to be the Trump administration, but the people can also take action like we've been taking action, besides doing encampments at universities and also outside of media headquarters. we can also take action against labor unions who are being complicit as well. And I think that is one step in the direction that we should also focus our energy in trying to liberate the people of Palestine, is trying to, once again, build a working class with the supposedly shield for the working class, which is the labor movement. And I hope that, my journey with the Handala, I know it garnished a lot of attention, but I just want to keep the focus on the people of Palestine and making sure that everybody knows that they have a role to play and we all can all do more.
And I hope media will eventually start doing the right and fair reporting. It has done so much damage in covering the war crimes, in assisting the war crimes. It's shameful. I don't want to be part of that at all, ever. Chris, after this experience of violence, the tension, what's next for you? Do you see yourself continuing to join international solidarity missions like this, or has the assault reshaped the way you think maybe of activism or future steps that you might want to take and the risks you are willing to take perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be supporting the flotillas that are set sailing in September behind the scenes. I'm fortunate enough to share my experience with them, to help them prepare with trainings and whatnot. And I absolutely already committed and said this. Shout out to Huwaida Araf, who is one of the co-founders of the Freedom Flotilla. She gives me a lot of motivation and hope. It was her 9th time. She's been doing these missions since 2007. It was her 9th time on the flotilla. And she's still going. And that gives me hope that if there is an opportunity for me to go on the future flotilla mission, I will absolutely do it again. Hopefully we do not have to do these things. We shouldn't have to risk our lives. We shouldn't have to put together these flotillas, because the accountability should be coming from our governments. But unfortunately, once again, we never know. Once again, the people have to step up and do what they have to do. For me personally, I'm going to do what I can. That's mobilize people to take actions in the streets. I've already participated in 2 rallies since I've been home. I know I'm supposed to be resting up a little bit, but I always feel motivated when I see people doing things, and I'm going to continue to do the best I can in my ability to support the Palestinian movement. And you'll see me traveling the world to spread the good word, but also trying to plant the seed here in America for us to escape the 2-party system. I'm working on trying to revitalize the once U.S. Labor Party, which will be a party like we've seen with my brother Jeremy Corbyn, a party that's for the people, by the people, and will definitely divest from any war around the world and create a better future and a quality of life for everybody.
That's such a beautiful sentence to wrap this up, but I still have one more question for you, Chris. I don't know how old your children are, but do they ask you, were they worried about you when you were gone? What did your family say about all this that you've done and the risk that you took and the way you risked your life for someone else on the other side of the world, right? What did they say? Were they worried? And what did the kids say?
Well, yeah, I had 24 hours to make this decision. And I had the conversation with my kids that my kids are on their way to high school. They're in middle school. And they're at that age where they definitely have social media. They have access to that. They're watching, paying attention. They're like sponges. But I didn't want to make them afraid that I wasn't going to return. I did express how much I love them, how much I care about them, how much that everything that I'm doing is for them, even though they may not understand everything. I don't want them to be too afraid. And that's why, I chose to go on this mission, because I look at my kids every day and I say I'm blessed to have them. And then I think about the families of Palestine who children are facing such great tragedy. I want to make sure that it's a better world for everybody. So that's one of the reasons. As far as the rest of my family, especially my mother, I didn't have an opportunity to tell her until I was already in Italy. So you can imagine how she reacted. She was definitely worried. She was definitely worried. But I'm glad that there was a community to support her. There was the family members of all of the passengers and volunteers in a group chat. So she was very well taken care of until I returned. And she was the first person I hugged when I returned back. And my kids were the first people I FaceTime when I returned back home.
And the welcome that you received was amazing. Were you, okay, just one more question, then I'm done, really, I promise. Did you at any point of being on Handala and being taken away by the IDF and the Israeli government and put in prison and then dumped somewhere on the border, any moment in that journey, did you think for a second that there is a possibility that you might not make it, that's a possibility?
Yeah, of course. I mean, once again, I experienced something that I could have never imagined. It was very surreal. The inhumane conditions that we were in prison. We were already on a hunger strike for a number of days. Our bodies were weak. They raided us twice as well with the raid unit. So they tried to create psychological warfare as well. And I guess you could say the moment where there was a brief moment where the IOF first boarded the ship. I know they've been known in the past to have killed 10 volunteers on the flotilla. I also known that they tried to bomb the Conscious, or they did bomb the Conscious, and they also delivered a tank of acid to us, allegedly. The coincidences were too surreal. We knew that they had something involved, some involvement with that at least. So it's always in the back of my mind that this could be it. But I don't know. I'm very, very much spiritually connected, and I felt like everybody was praying and supporting from wherever they were around the world. And somehow, some way, even through all of the things I was experiencing, I felt that there was some type of protection there for us, for every last one of us.
Chris, I want to thank you for this heartfelt and passionate conversation. And I'm just thinking, if you went through what you went through as a foreign citizen, as an American citizen, imagine what Palestinians are going through in Israeli prisons and torture camps. It's something that we all should shed a light on. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for speaking up and speaking out on behalf of those who don't have a voice. Unfortunately, you being their voice is a special moment, is something really special. Chris, thank you so much for speaking to us, and hopefully, of course, take care, and hopefully we'll have a chance to speak again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and thank you for shedding light on the real issues and the truth as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Bio ovo Chris Smalls, koji je bio jedan od aktivista koji su se nalazili na brodu Handala prema Gazi, kojeg je presreo IDF, zatočio, zarobio i potom pretukao. Ostanite uz nas. Iran je burno reagirao na odluku Francuske, Njemačke i Velike Britanije da aktiviraju takozvani mehanizam snapback, što znači ponovno uvođenje sankcija Teheranu zbog nuklearnog programa. To nije u skladu sa rezolucijom Vijeća sigurnosti Ujedinjenih nacija, poručio je ministar vanjskih poslova Abbas Araghči i rekavši da će odgovor Teherana biti u skladu s onim što smatra nezakonitim pokušajem potkopavanja njegovih prava prema nuklearnom sporazumu iz 2015. godine. Podsjećamo da ovo pitanje u fokus je došlo nakon što je Izrael 13. juna ove godine pokrenuo iznenadni napad na Teheran, ciljajući vojne, nuklearne i civilne lokacije. Iran je uzvratio raketnim napadima i dronovima, nakon čega su Sjedinjene Američke Države bombardovale 3 iranska nuklearna postrojenja. 12-dnevni sukob završen je primirjem postignutim uz posredovanje Sjedinjenih Američkih Država 24. juna. Predsjednica Evropske komisije Ursula von der Leyen najavila je nove sankcije protiv Rusije nakon ruskog napada na Kijev u kojem je ubijeno 14 osoba, oštećeno sjedište delegacije Evropske unije u tom gradu. Ovo je pokazatelj da Kremlj neće stati ni pred čim da terorizira Ukrajinu, slijepo ubijajući civile, muškarce, žene i djecu, pa čak i ciljajući Evropsku uniju. Rekla je to von der Leyen i najavila je da sutra kreće u višednevnu turneju u 7 država članica koje jačaju i štite vanjske granice s Rusijom i Bjelorusijom. Donald Trump, predsjednik Sjedinjenih Američkih Država, uveo je 50% carine na većinu indijskog izvoza u Sjedinjene Američke Države, ispunjavajući raniju prijetnju da će kazniti New Delhi zbog kupovine jeftine ruske nafte. Carine su stupile na snagu prošle sedmice, a stručnjaci upozoravaju da bi potez mogao ozbiljno pogoditi indijsku ekonomiju i dodatno poremetiti globalne lance snabdijevanja. Ovim potezom Indija se svrstava među zemlje s najvišim američkim carinama uz Brazil, koji je također pogođen stopom od 50%. Trump je od povratka u Bijelu kuću u januaru značajno povećao carine na uvoz iz niza država, što je dodatno zategnulo odnose sa saveznicima, ali i rivalima, ali i povećalo strah od inflacije. Indijski ministri tvrde da je njihova zemlja nepravedno izdvojena zbog trgovinskih veza s Moskvom, te upozoravaju da će New Delhi kao odgovor vjerovatno jačati saradnju s Rusijom i Kinom. I toliko u ovom izdanju Pulsa planete. Ove i ostale vijesti možete i dalje potražiti na našem sajtu newsmaxbalkans.com. Mi se vidimo naredne sedmice. Ostanite uz naš kanal.